we get a chance to see Dwayne Haskins do what everyone wants to see him do. Just throw the ball. He's a spectacular arm talent, one of the most precise passers that I've seen.
Dwayne Haskins is going to be the center of attention.
A live look as Dwayne Haskins, Bucky Brooks' #1 quarterback in this 2019 draft class, beginning his throwing session.
Pro days at Ohio State and Georgia, and an offensive lineman we think you're going to like a lot. That is coming up today on NFL Total Access with Lindsey Rhodes and Scott Hansen, who is with the guys with today's top story.
The guys, Lindsey, being a couple Super Bowl champions, Willie McGinnis on my left, Reggie Wayne on my right. And we start the show with the gift that keeps on giving in the offseason of the football. Pittsburgh Steelers and the drama therein. So Le'Veon Bell, he recently did a sit-down interview with Jenny Varentis, Jenny Varentis of SITV. It was a long, wide-ranging interview. We have taken out a couple of excerpts here which possibly shed light on the perceived power structure in Pittsburgh. Here is Lev Bell on Ben Roethlisberger's status in the franchise.
It was like Ben. And then like GM, you know what I'm saying? It's like they all like it seems like they're all on the same level, and everybody else is like lower.
Okay, so it's Ben, the GM, and then all the rest of the players.
In a sense.
Well,
that's the vibe I got.
Kind of sounds a little bit like there's a father and then there's 52 children type soundbite there. What, if anything, does that tell us about the locker room dynamic? If the star running back on the team feels like the star quarterback is put on that high of a pedestal.
Well, let me first start by saying all elite quarterbacks in this league, they receive some form of special treatment, right? And I'm sure Lev Bell, AB, all the top-notch players has also, right? But somewhere in there, Willie, somewhere in there, those star players, not the quarterback, the other players, they feel like that their level of high standards are different from Big Ben's. And I think that's where all the chaos comes into play, right? An example for me, right? We knew Peyton Manning was getting a lot of special treatment. That's fine, right? But we also knew that Peyton Manning was going to be the first one in there, the last one to leave. It's never going to be a situation that he wasn't prepared for, right? He was going to be accountable for everything. He was going to know what to do at all times. So we understood that. And I think that's where those guys have to understand, or somewhere in there, there's a misconception of what Big Ben is doing compared to what they're doing.
I get it, but there's never the locker room never should be divided by the front office. You never have a GM come in and say that our quarterback is here and then the GM is here and everybody else is here. I think when you're trying to create a culture, when you're trying to have all 52, 53 guys buy in to a certain system, to a certain coach, to a way of doing things, putting team over individualism, and making sure everybody gets treated the same, everybody's being accountable, and the respect throughout the locker room is equal. We know who the top dogs are in the locker room. It's been that way before we played. It'll continue after we get done playing. We know who the top dogs are, especially if your quarterback has been consistently one of the best for the last decade plus. You don't have to say it. You don't have to call it out. You don't have to make other players feel lesser than, especially when these players right now are probably some of the players that are also responsible for a lot of the production and the winning you're having in the locker room. Now, I heard a quote and I heard the saying that these guys should listen to Ben because he's been there. Well, he's been there 10 years ago. So some of those players were 11 and 12 years old when he was there.
Don't even remember.
They don't remember. They don't know. They don't see the work ethic. They don't see all the things that take place. Now, remind you, that decade when he won that Super Bowl is different than some of the things he's doing now, according to some of those players in that locker room. And these players are workaholics. They're getting after it. Maybe it's changed for Ben. Maybe he sees the game different because he has so much experience. But I don't think you need to make a clear statement about who's where and who's not. I think that's just disrespectful, and I think that divides the locker room.
Well, obviously the message had gotten to Le'Veon Bell because he feels that way. He's now a New York Jet. He doesn't have it to protect anyone in that locker room. He's coming out and we assume speaking his mind. Yep. I said it was a long, wide-ranging interview with SITV. There are more quotes that came out of that. Bell went on to suggest that Ben's clout within the franchise spilled on to the football field Sunday at 1 o'clock, saying, quote, Ben wants to win, but Ben wants to win his way, and that's tough to play with. He's at the stage where he tries to control everything. Bell also said that Roethlisberger would sometimes ignore Antonio Brown in the passing game, not because Brown wasn't open or wasn't capable, but because the quarterback was mad at the star wide receiver. Bell saying, quote, if I'm mad at a player and I'm not throwing him the ball, if I'm not throwing AB the ball and I'm giving Juju Smith-Schuster all the shine, or Jesse James or Vance McDonald, the tight ends, or whoever it is, and you know consciously you're making your other wide receiver mad, but you don't care, it's hard to win that way. You smiled big right there when you just read when I just read that.
You calling a timeout?
I'm calling timeout. Right?
Is that a penalty?
Yes, it's definitely a penalty. It's a flag, and the flag is on Le'Veon Bell. Right? Let me tell you this. Right? Last year, AB ranked second in targets for the season. Right?
And he would have been first if he would have played in Week 17.
Right? Exactly. He was number one in touchdowns with 15. Right? Mm-hmm. Since 2013. Number one. AB has averaged double-digit targets every single year. Double digits. His worst year, Willie, was 10.3 targets for the year, per game, right?
It's pretty good.
10.3 per game. For me, right, in my 14 years of playing, I've had 2 seasons of double-digit targets per game. Right. I don't want to hear that he's not throwing you the ball.
There was no freezing out of Antonio Brown, according to the stats.
I think he's talking about a small sample size. I think we can see, like, the first 4 weeks or whatever it was, the first 5 weeks of the season, when AB wasn't getting the ball, he was clearly unhappy, and he was displaying that on the sideline. That's when things were a little bit shaky, and Juju was getting all the touches and all the touchdowns and all the yards. And then for some reason, I don't know what happened, something changed. I think he's talking specific times, not over his career, because we know what AB has done over his career.
I'm assuming that he's talking over throughout the season.
But let's address it as a locker room guy and understand what he's saying. I've been around elite players where if you're not productive, if you're not putting in the work, if you're not studying, if you don't know what to do, if you're not prepared to go out and play at a certain level, then, yeah, you're going to get alienated. Not only by the quarterback, but by the entire locker room. We're going to alienate you. And you don't deserve the right to go out there. Now, if we have a disagreement where we get into it over something that has nothing to do with football, or it does, but we can't put that to the side when we go out on the football field and you hold a grudge and you purposely not throw me the ball or not call my number to go blitz or do whatever. Now, for me, that's an issue.
No, it's definitely a problem.
Look, a team works 365, and they only get 16 3-hour sessions to go out there and make your money and try and push towards a Vince Lombardi Trophy championship. By the way, we're not done with Le'Veon Bell just yet. Still to come here on NFL Total Access, Le'Veon Bell's comments as he exited Pittsburgh to sign with the New York Jets. What he had to say about the city of Pittsburgh and his perceived treatment. Coming up, Lindsay.
City.
Le'Veon Bell, one of the biggest free agency moves so far this offseason. There have been others, though. Let's get some of those out here. Ian Rappaport, a little bit of movement in the linebacker market in the last 24 hours. Who's going where?
Well, let's start with Clay Matthews, the longtime member of the Green Bay Packers and one of their best players for the last decade. He has signed with the Los Angeles Rams. It's a 2-year deal worth up to $16.75 million. Base is around 10, so low risk for the Rams. But make no mistake, this is something that Clay Matthews has wanted since free agency began. He's building a house just 20 minutes from the Rams facility, and Wade Phillips, will use him well. Don't be surprised if he ends up starting opposite Dante Fowler. Big-time addition for the Super Bowl participant Los Angeles Rams. Then there's Vontaze Burfict, the former member of the Cincinnati Bengals, a new member of the Oakland Raiders, signed a 1-year deal up to $5 million. Remember, defensive coordinator Paul Guenther and Burfict are very close. This was one of his prized pupils. If anyone can get the most out of him, it is Guenther. Then, of course, Consider the fact that he's joining the same team as Antonio Brown, the same AB that he gave a concussion several years back in the playoffs. AB, by the way, has already signed off on this deal via Twitter, so maybe no awkward moments in the locker room.
Whew, AB and Vontaze on the same team. I don't know if we're ready for that. Get your popcorn ready, Ian Rappaport. Thank you very much. Also today, a monster pro day at Ohio State. Several draftable guys on the field, but not this one. Nick Bosa, Daniel Jeremiah's #1 rated prospect, choosing to stand on his combine performance, stuck to the sideline today and cheered on his teammates, like Dwayne Haskins, who is Daniel Jeremiah's 2nd rated quarterback and 20th rated prospect overall. He had dinner last night with some of the Giants' top decision makers, and he went through a full workout today in front of them and also in front of DJ and Aditi Kinkhabwala, who filed this pro day report presented by Lowe's.
DJ, we just watched Dwayne Haskins work up a good sweat out there and do pretty much everything asked of him.
Yeah, no, he did a nice job. I thought he really tried to feature today the quickness, and a little bit of concern when you watch Dwayne Haskins or the questions that exist were about his mobility, his ability to move quickly, suddenly get away from pressure, get his feet and eyes aligned, and deliver the ball accurately. And that's precisely what he did today. And even on the move, one throw, particularly to his left on the move, threw the ball really, really well to a very talented group of wide receivers.
Well, and he talked to us about not having to wear the knee brace that he did have to wear all during the season. What was interesting is I had one GM say to me, well, he can clearly make all the throws. I had another GM say to me how much he appreciated the fact that he got out there, and as you mentioned, with all of his teammates. You want to see him and how he interacts with his teammates right now, right? And with the receivers that he's comfortable with. And when Paris Campbell went down, we immediately saw him run to Campbell's side.
It was the same even inside. I mean, even before we got out here to the field workout in the weight room, in there cheering on his guys. So you could see some of that leadership that you hear so much about.
And that's especially notable on a day when there was also another player here who did nothing, Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Nick Bosa decided to do the same thing Quinnen Williams yesterday at Alabama. Guys that are locked in my opinion, his top 5 picks, did everything he needed to do at the combine and decided that he's done through the process. He'll now just take some visits to teams, and that'll be it for him. At the end of the day, he's going to be a very high pick.
Well, and he did admit to us that it was a bit difficult having to sit out and not be a part of it.
It's going to work out just fine for Mr. Bosa. Trust me.
Got some visits on the way. Bosa also reportedly spent some time with the Niners today, enjoying a meal with John Lynch and the team's vice president of player personnel. He also spent some time with DJ and Aditi on the field.
You know, Nick, I just talked to your dad, and he said that you are a product of your brother being so hard on you. True story?
I mean, that's a lot of little brothers, I feel like. I mean, when you're beat up from the second you could do anything competitive, he's whooping my butt. So, yeah, no, he's set me up for success. He's paved the way, and I'm just following it.
You have a place you want to go? I mean, does being the first overall pick, is that important to you?
I mean, it's an unbelievable thing to even think about, but I'm just trying to play for a team that wants to pick me. Whoever wants to make that big of an investment in me is the team I want to play for.
I'm sure there are a number of teams that would fall into that category that think he is the next big thing. Willie, you've watched a lot of his tape. Why might they think that?
Well, you look at what he's doing. If you look at Joey and you look at the production Joey's had, and you look at some of the plays and some of the moves that Nick is emulating, he's getting the same production out of those moves. And anytime you're the small brother, a little sister, you're always trying to do a little bit better than the big brother or sister, right? So watching the tape, when you compare the two, if you look at some of the things that Nick is doing, this is the speed rush with the two-hand swipe. This is like his vintage move, his move that he does all the different time. Good speed, working half the man, getting the hands. You'll see him right here. Get the hands down, get around the edge. Well, guess what? Look at what Big Brother's doing. Joey Bosa, the same thing. You're speed rushing, you're working half the man, you're swiping, getting the hands down, getting around the edge. Here's the other move that they use the same. We call this the stab power. He's getting the inside hand in the chest plate of the tackle. He's using the other hand to raise the opposite hand or swipe it down, getting around the edge. Well, guess where he got it from? Big Brother Joey. Here he is right here. Pause it. The hand plate is in there. You got that pole arm. He's raising the opposite hand up. You're working half the man. Now you have no leverage and you're getting around the edge. The good thing about Nick, I know Joey's a little bit bigger, in my opinion, has more moves. The good thing about Nick is his leverage. He's a smaller guy. He can get under tackles. He does have the speed, the motor, the power, and he's working the hand moves and stuff.
got a good guy there to help him get ready for this whole
He's
draft
got a
process,
lot of good
right?
guys.
On the field, off the field, he knows exactly what's coming.
Yep.
Bosa, a lot of people's pick to be the next big thing. Who else might fall into that category, though? I know Willie's got another guy to look out for coming up, and we are interested in the guys who have caught your eye as well. So tell us on Twitter with the hashtag #NextBigThing, and we will read some of them later in the show as we continue our countdown to the 2019 NFL Draft presented by Georgia Pro Day today in Athens with a lot of eyes on running back Elijah Holyfield, who wanted to improve on his combine 40 times, instead turned in runs in the high 4.7s, low 4.8s. Also on the field there, wide receiver Riley Ridley, the younger brother of Calvin Ridley, who's 36th on Daniel Jeremiah's prospect list. Also saw cornerback DeAndre Baker, who's 30th on that list, and who spoke with Kim Jones after his workout.
DeAndre, you literally just finished your pro day workout. How'd it go?
It was good. It was a great day. Got there and competed with my teammates, It was a good day overall.
What do you see as the strength of your game?
Just my confidence, my skill set. Press man to man. That's what I like to play. Lock down the other receiver from the opposing team. Whoever they number one receiver, I take them out the game every week. That's what I do.
What kind of player, person, and cornerback is the team that drafts you getting?
A confident corner who's going to come out and compete, no matter if it's the number one receiver or the number 3 receiver on the team. Just come out and compete, fearless and confident out there again.
Last topic for you. There's a lot of DBs in this draft. There always are. Where do you fit? Where do you rank among the cornerbacks?
All number one corner in the nation.
No doubt.
No doubt. Ain't even close. It's not close at all.
Why isn't it close?
No, my production, my stats speak for itself. I never gave up a 100-yard game. I ain't give up a touchdown in 2 years. Matter of fact, I only gave up 1 touchdown in my whole college career. No receiver really did nothing on me. Every week, week in, week out, locked down the number one receiver from the opposing team. So if you can find another corner with those stats, and you got to, we can balance it out. But right now, ain't nobody messing with me.
DeAndre, thank you very much for the time. I appreciated this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Baker, boy, he says he's confident, and he means it. Says he's the number one corner in the draft. Bucky Brooks has him 4th on his list after Greedy Williams, Byron Murphy, and Rock Ya-Sin. Scott?
Brought a little fire to the microphone right there, Reggie Wayne.
I love it. I love his confidence.
What do you see in the defensive back out of Georgia?
I know DeAndre Baker's talking about he's a lockdown corner, and he has some pretty good stats. As he said, nobody has scored a touchdown on him in 2 years, right? But he, to me, is a better zone coverage corner, right? Here he is, eyeing the quarterback down, reading the quarterback's vision. He does a great job of reading route combinations. As you can see, he saw the second receiver running the sail route. He was able to fall off his guy and jump into that and catch an interception right there. Once again, he's reading in zone coverage, reading the quarterback. This is Palm's coverage. Once this inside receiver breaks out, he knows he can break on that quick. Now, they're talking about his size a little bit, but one thing he will do, he will come up and make a tackle. He's at 5'11", 193 pounds. He comes up and delivers a blow. He's talking about all his stats, and we can't deny that. Played a pretty good year, had a pretty good pro day. I like his swag.
Okay. You used to lick your chops, though.
Oh, I used to love it.
Rookie corner came in talking a little bit of stuff right there. Let's flip it over to your position right now. Wide receiver. Let's go to Ohio State. Had their pro day today. Paris Campbell. Remember in Indianapolis at the Combine, he ran a 4.31. Right. So he did not run today at the 40. He stood on that time in Indy. At the pro day today, took a bad step during some pass routes. He shut it down after that. Not a serious injury or anything like that, just precautionary. He's about 6 foot, 205. Athleticism is the name of his game. Bucky Brooks has him ranked in his top 5 wide receivers. In fact, Paris Campbell at number 5. So we turn back to our star wide receiver. Break down Paris's game for us.
Well, you know what? When you watch his college, highlight tapes or whatever, he didn't do too much. But one thing you can't do, you can't teach speed. And that's what Paris Campbell has. Right here is a simple rub route. The inside receiver from the opposite side sets a pick on him for him. Once he gets this ball, Scott, in this position, nobody's going to catch him. He gets the ball, and he knows exactly what to do with it. Right here, simple, goes in motion. You send him in motion to get the guys to find out if it's zone or man. They have a busted coverage, and once we say he ran a 4.31, right? He has smoke coming out of his feet. He's that fast.
Come on now.
Once you get the ball in his hands, he knows exactly what to do with it. that is Parrish Campbell for you.
A little vapor trail right there.
Yeah.
You know, they used him a little bit like we saw New England use Cordero Patterson this year. They would give him some like little jet sweeps, like they'd give him like stuff like that just to use that 4-3-1.
Exactly.
That can translate to the NFL. Thank you, Reg. All right. When we come back, Le'Veon Bell's recent SITV interview, he was tweeting this at me, exactly proves my point. Okay, we're not going to get your comments on that one, guys, because that's like a little bit of he said, she said, and whatnot, but we wanted to put that out there for our audience so they can interpret it how they want. Meanwhile, Lev Bell's gone from that locker room. Antonio Brown's gone from that locker room. That's a talent exodus, but it's also, if there was any discontent, you can't blame those guys anymore if they don't win. So going into this season, who was under the most pressure for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who still have Super Bowl championship hopes?
You know what? Let me start this, right?
Yeah, go.
If it's anything that Lev Bell said, it was the owner, it was Big Ben, then it was Colbert, the GM,
the GM at the same
and then
level.
it was Mike Tomlin.
Why is he at the bottom?
I don't know why he's at the bottom, but that's who's in the most pressure for me.
Right.
It's Mike Tomlin, right? Because he can nip everything in the bud, right? Everybody's going to go in his direction. Whichever direction he wants to get the ship to go, that's the way it's going to go, right? So whenever there's anything, any ruckus going on in the locker room, whatever, between star players, he can bring him to his office. He can say, hey, this is how we're going to handle it. We're going to do it this way. We're going to keep it out in the media, whatever the case may be. That's his job. That's his job to get everything going in the right order. And if you have a rough year this year, they missed the playoffs last year. They've had some swing and misses in the draft, which is probably not his fault, really. But I think he is the guy with all he's in the hot seat. The red light is on him, Mike Tomlin.
So why haven't we heard from Mike Tomlin throughout this entire offseason process?
That's an interesting question.
We haven't heard one thing from the head coach. So my thing is if you're looking at it, and I'm taking the comments, the disparaging comments from Kevin Colbert that really kind of divided some of these players in the locker room when he made his comments, right? It was a little disrespectful, it was a little divisive, and you can go all the way down the line with that. You didn't get a contract done with Lev Bell, so he sat out, which was a distraction, okay? Then the comments that you made about Ben pretty much stamped what AB said about that whole situation in the locker room, because you put Ben here and everybody else needs to fill in the blanks, and he's like the father and they're all the kids. I get it. And I read the entire excerpt. So I know everything that was said. But some of the stuff that he said was damaging. If we're hearing everything from the general manager, where is the voice of the head coach? You pretty much cut off the legs from the head coach. If I'm in that locker room, we're not going back and forth with the GM every day. We're not in meetings with the GM every day. We're not taking direction from the GM, okay? His thing is business affairs, making sure the team is put together the right way, the salary cap, all those other different things. Our head coach, it starts with our head coach as the voice and our leader. Okay, so I think the power needs to get shifted there. And I know Mike Tomlin has done everything in his power to keep that team together. And whether it was Bell, whether it's AB, whether it's Ben, whatever, make sure he caters to them. So maybe he should take some blame, but at the end of the day, don't cut his legs off and step on his toes when it comes to that locker room. Let him run and control that locker room. I want to hear him. He should be the voice.
Mike Tomlin, Super Bowl winning head coach, going into a season where there will be much judgment on the Pittsburgh Steelers come September. By the way, Lev Bell also in that interview said that he's thrilled to be a New York Jet. He's happy the way the contract turned out. Look, he's only played 4.5 years in the NFL. He'd be the third leading rusher in Jets history with that. So for the Jets to get a franchise running back, they've got to be happy there as well. Lindsay?
Steelers watching a lot of guys leave town. So are the Packers. And that is where we start today's What's Trending, presented by Hyundai, with reaction to the exits of Clay Matthews and Randall Cobb, who signed with the Rams and Cowboys respectively yesterday. Eric Weddle, another recent Rams signee, happy about the former move. Aaron Rodgers, who spent the last 8 years throwing to Cobb, not so happy about that one. I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Do you recognize this yet, Willie? Let me continue. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Reggie?
Maya Angelou.
I get you.
Oh, my gosh. You guys, not Caddyshack, the other movie always quoted by men as their favorite one.
Oh, now I get it.
He went all Shawshank on us,
yes,
guys.
I
guess I just missed my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Whoa, I'm
Don't
hitting.
cage that bird.
This one is for you, Reggie.
Okay.
I think you better go get your boy Jihad Ward because he is wrecking shop in the Colts weight room. Watch, wait for it,
He's
wait
upset.
for it. Here we go.
Oh, wait a minute.
He broke that wall.
Oh, okay.
Look at his reaction.
No, he should be flexing.
Wait a
Did
minute.
I do
That's
that?
the wrong wall to throw the ball against.
Yes,
I love it.
I think we got to go back into the construction department.
Dwayne Haskins also throwing heat at Ohio State's Pro Day today, or dimes, as he said on Twitter afterward. Also spoke with the Didi Kinkabala and Daniel Jeremiah about the workout. Here's what he thought about how it went.
You've said repeatedly that it's very important to you to show teams how smart you are.
Yeah.
Why? Do you feel like that's been a knock on you?
It's not necessarily a knock just because of the stereotype, but the biggest thing is I feel like I'm smarter than the average quarterback. And for me, going through the combine, going through meetings after the combine, and going into the draft, just being able to retain information. So a lot of teams have me draw up their plays and be able to recite the plays to them, how it worked first protections, how certain coverages would go. And it'd be like 6 plays. I remember all the plays at one time, and I get no time to think about it. So it's pretty good. So I feel like I do a good job retaining the playbook.
You went to dinner with the entire Giants contingent yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So I was told by a member of that group that you were extremely impressive.
That's nice.
What do you feel really distinguishes you from all the other quarterbacks?
I think this is the biggest thing with drafting a quarterback. You want a guy who'll be there for 10, 12, 15 years. And that's the guy you want to lead your franchise. So every meeting that I go to, I wanted to show how charismatic I am, how smart I am, and to be able to relate to everyone in the room. So being able to sit down with them last night was awesome. Had a great time. We had some good talks, ate some good food, and it was a great experience.
You played well throughout the season, but you found another level at the end, especially those last 3 games when you look at a rivalry game, a conference championship game, and then the big Rose Bowl over Washington. What really clicked for you to lock in and just take off at the end of the year like you did?
Yeah, so Coach Mick told me to be a dude, and that's his phrase. So
for those that don't know, explain who Coach Mick is.
Coach Mick is our strength coach, and I would like to say he's probably the toughest guy I know. So for him, it was just be a dude. So there was times in the game where I had to take over. So not saying that I wasn't playing great in the beginning of the season, but I just took complete ownership of the team at that point as we got down the stretch trying to get back into the playoff run. And it was a lot of fun, honestly, to be able to have those games like that and finish at a high level. But it's all to the offensive line, receivers made all the great plays, and I just put it in the right spot and I just led them.
So the dinner with the Giants went well. Interestingly, that is where Daniel Jeremiah has Haskins going in the draft. 6th overall to the New York Giants. Bucky Brooks has him going 13th to the Miami Dolphins. And according to Aditi, Haskins told them that he has meetings with the Dolphins and the Redskins and the Raiders and the Broncos all coming up. What a story, and that's not even the half of it. Caleb McGarry, our guest right now on NFL Total Access, and to say that you grabbed our attention during the Combine, Caleb, would be a massive understatement for a whole host of reasons. Not mentioned in that piece there, one of the RVs that you lived in caught on fire. How are you here right now in the position that you're in?
A lot of determination, patience, and toughness.
What kind of role did football play in all of this for you?
Football was, in a lot of ways, my saving grace. I've always loved to play football, but as I was going through that difficult period of time, it became more than just a sport that I loved and enjoyed playing. It became kind of a place for me to forget about the world at large, forget about the difficulties surrounding me and my family, and, I just worry about playing football.
We just saw you in the piece describe yourself as mean on the football field. Do you think that is a product of having some aggression to get out?
A little bit, my parents were very careful to teach me about being very cautious around other people in everyday life, as I'm a little bit bigger than the average individual. In football, I don't have to worry about that. It's an advantage being my size in football.
Why do you think O-line clicked for you?
I think the position requirements, the things you have to do, fits with my personality better. I'm very protective of the things and people that I care about. And as an lineman, you have to be very protective of your buddies next to you, your quarterback, your tailback. You have to be very tough. You have to know when to be aggressive and when to be passive. There are just so many facets of the position, I think, that just agree with me and my personality and the way that I work, to be honest.
Now that you're on the verge of being drafted, with the financial security that comes along with that, What is that like to process? How your life is going to dramatically change almost immediately?
It's kind of hard to imagine, to be honest. It's been difficult financially for so long that's just what I'm used to. I've never known, I guess, what I would call financial security. No one in my family really has, and it's difficult to imagine the ability to be able to not worry and stress at night over bill payments and food bills and things like that. I can only imagine it's going to be incredible and very, very hard to get used to, probably.
Well, as we saw in that combine video, Sean O'Hara seemed to like what he saw from you on the combine floor quite a bit. Bucky Brooks has you in his top 5 offensive tackles. Daniel Jeremiah has you in his top 50 prospects, number 41 overall. Aside from your temperament that we've talked about, your commitment to the game that seems obvious, what kinds of things do you think are your biggest strengths on the offensive line?
I think I have an incredibly competitive side. I have a drive to succeed and to do things correctly. I don't think that I know more than my coach and the people around me. All I want is to do things correctly and to do my job to the best of my ability and to be the best there is.
Well, Caleb, I think there are going to be a lot of people rooting for you after they see this interview. 36 days left till the draft, and I understand that we will be speaking on a somewhat regular basis between now and then. You'll be checking in with us weekly. Is that correct?
That's what I'm told.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to that. We'll talk to you about your preparation for the Pro Day next week. We'll talk then.
All right, till then.
About that game. Tell me about that.
We won.
Okay, you won. I know it.
By a lot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I remember your speech at the banquet, Coach.
I remember that too.
You do?
Yeah.
All right, fine. So I understand that you, as a kid growing up, were a Giants fan. New York Giants fan. Is that true?
Yeah. It's a valid statement.
You know, they pick 6th.
Yeah, they do.
Let's see if this helmet's fit. I'm going to see if you look good in blue.
Does it fit?
Would you love to go to the Giants on the 6th pick and back up Eli Manning for a bit?
Yeah.
Learn from him?
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Do you? I do too. Let me tell you a story. I started coaching the San Francisco 49ers before you were born.
Yeah.
It was the 49ers against the Denver Broncos,
right?
It's a good matchup right there. This is the biggest Monday night game ever in the history of the world. Okay?
Ever?
So here's the thing. We put Jerry Rice, number 80, at the zebra, at the slot. How about that as a slot guy? It's trips right, wide deep, right? Zebra left.
Okay.
That's the formation. The play is 74, zebra, bake. All right, now, so here's the play. T.O. is running a shake route. A shake is out like that. That's a shake. If it's too deep, it's that, all right? This guy over here is J.J. Stokes, tall guy from UCLA, all right? His job was to take that free safety and run through him, all right? Through him. And if he gets width, Steve Young's going to go back 7 steps and shoot him the ball for a touchdown, probably the back of the end zone. T.O., Hall of Famer. Jerry Rice, Hall of Famer. Steve Young, Hall of Famer, okay? All right, he runs outside of the X, and here he comes. Instead of the shake to the outside, he runs bake inside, okay?
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. You got to remember which one's doing what, okay? Steve Young came back. He's left-handed, isn't he? And he looks at Steve Atwater, and he says, all right, I'm going to keep you there with my eyes. And he resets his feet. Boom! Jerry Rice right there. Second quarter, touchdown. And we won 34-17. Big contribution by Jerry Rice. Tough guy. Who's your hero?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Mine too.
Really?
Why?
Well, he's the one that was with me every workout, every practice. He was there for me, whether that was high school, speed training, weightlifting, and drop me off, pick me up every workout.
That's awesome. Who do you pattern your game after in the National Football League?
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon?
Yeah. I think he threw the pretty spot.
He was awesome. He had to go to Canada to make a name for himself. If he'd have played in the National Football League the whole time, just think of how many yards he'd have.
Right, he'd be really good.
You ever been in trouble?
No, sir. Not one time. I couldn't even bring home C's, A's, and B's. That was it.
What would happen?
I didn't want to know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're a smart guy, aren't you?
Pretty smart.
Since you're a smart guy,
yeah.
Diagram my play in the red zone against the Denver Broncos. Tell me about this.
So you said trips right.
Yep.
Wide deep.
Yep.
Zebra left.
Okay.
74 zebra bake.
Bake? What's a bake?
Shake and bake.
Okay.
Jerry, T.O., JJ.
JJ? Who's that right there?
Steve Young.
Yeah, he's under the center, too.
Yes,
You got to be good at that.
Yeah, right. So we're going to motion Jerry over
Yeah.
to the Z.
Okay.
Got the bake route. Versus cover 2, it can convert to a corner. Versus, we want to say press or one high coverage, man coverage.
Yeah.
You know, run this post
shake,
corner.
okay.
This shake route right here.
Okay.
7-step drop, I'm eyeing the free safety.
Okay. And what if he just goes over to Jerry Rice?
Back of the end zone, through route, touchdown, JJ. Right. And this is our shake route right here.
That's called a what?
Oh, shake and bake. There you go.
Favorite bake.
Yeah.
So then what did Steve do?
He looks down the safety right here. He holds JJ right down the middle. 7-step drop, throws a laser to Jerry Rice for a touchdown.
Who won the Super Bowl that year?
To be honest, I don't know that one.
Denver won it.
Denver
They never
won
lost
it?
another game after this.
It's your fault. There we go.
Hey, proud of you, man.
Appreciate it.
It's come a long way since that Under Armour high school game. You were just a kid then.
Yeah, I was.
Good luck, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Among this year's draft prospects would be the next big thing. We got one answer here that says Andy Isabella from UMass. He says that he's going to be a hybrid of Cliff Branch and Christian McCaffrey.
Whoa.
Which is an interesting hybrid.
Cliff Branch, wow. Good thing, little guy, though. He's like, yeah. Okay.
Chalk up a vote here for Josh Allen. I think there are a lot of votes out there for Josh Allen. He says that this is the generational talent in this year's draft. And then
really likes the pass rusher out of Kentucky. He likes him, yeah.
And then there's Kyler Murray. There's no debate. Stephen Gill says that he's definitely the next.
He's like
big
the next 5'9.5". Oh,
we already got Russell Wilson, right? So
over 5'10".
Yeah, Drew.
Over 5'10".
Over 5'10", true. Official.
Hashtag.
All right, you guys want to throw in a name here? Next big thing.
I'll give you a name, and this is a guy we kind of talked about a little bit. Jonathan Abrams from Mississippi State. They call him old school because of his demeanor, but mostly because he lays the hammer. Ooh. He's a throwback of Rodney Harrison. Whoa. How about Cam Chancellor? You got an enforcer. You got somebody that want to create his own no-fly zone. You're not going across the middle. Running backs, beware. And wherever he's at, I'm sure guys are looking for. He is the next guy.
I gotta go Noah Fant, the other tight end.
Oh, we know you like
Iowa,
your
right?
Iowa tight ends.
The
Dallas
other
Clark,
listen,
callback.
he came out of the blue. Nobody knew about it, but then he ran a 4.5 at that combine, ran routes smooth and fluid, caught the ball well. It's not a secret no more, Willie.
Not a secret.
They know all about him. Look at him.
Is he just a pass catcher?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Oh, he's not? He's a
not.
blocker, too?
He's a little blocker.
Okay, get a little block. Little Jimmy Graham and get out of there.
No, he's a tweener.
Show it real quick and let him go.
He's a tweener.
Hands up.
How crazy is it that we're debating which Iowa tight end is the best tight end in the entire
That's a good
draft?
thing.
From
That's
one
good.
school.
I feel sorry for Iowa.
22
a lot
personnel.
of talent lost.